It's time.
It is time. It is
For our
time.
last episode of 2014.
The end is nigh. I always look forward to this one because it's the one where we talk about shitty books without talking about them in serious depth, and it
We
always
get
is
meta with
interesting.
it.
Yeah, it always gets interesting to me because um, I do dig when we make our lists because we make them separately and then come together and talk about them, and I kind of like that. It's kind of cool because we get to find out how each of us differed from the other as far as rating these
Right.
shitty books. So anyway, this is Matt of the Two Pens writing blog at twopens.wordpress.com.
This is Tyler. I have no other credentials. I'm just Tyler.
What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a delicious French cider called
Mhm.
Dan or More.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brut cider made with fresh pressed apples grown in Brittany, France, and it's just delightful. Like it.
Huh. Where'd you
It's
get it?
not. It's kind of. It's fuck if I know at this point. It's been in my fridge for a month. Um, Either Trader Joe's or
Mm-hmm.
Trader Joe's. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the only other place or maybe we picked it up at Total Wine, but I couldn't tell you. But it's a nice. It's dry, but it has this like honey finish to it. That
That's nice.
it's really good. I have a bottle of Three Philosophers in my
Mhm.
in my fridge that I was going to drink tonight, but then this was on the top shelf, so it came out first.
Which one? Which three? Oh, Three Philosophers. That's good stuff. I do like that.
I'm thinking that's going to be my New Year's Eve drink.
I decided that because it was the end of the year that I would celebrate a little. So I went to Firestone Walker's brewery back in June. My wife took me down there for a whole drinking extravaganza, and I came back with several bottles. And so I am drinking this year's 2014 Parabola. It is age 12 months already by the time you get it, and it's 82 IBUs, so it's not very hoppy at all, which is what I like. And it is an barrel-aged imperial stout. This shit is delicious. So it's been sitting in my refrigerator for the last 6 months. It's been super tasty, so I'm enjoying the hell out of that. So yeah, the end. This is the for
Oh, you're lagging a little bit. I wonder how that's going to sound on the recording. This is season 3, episode 12. We're calling it the end. This is hilarious. Amazing radio right here.
For those of you who are
Season
new and just
3.
joining our
Oh,
podcast
there it
on
goes.
that one. What?
Your sound is kind of accordioning.
Okay, well, hopefully it will fix itself.
And your video just went to shit, but audio sounds okay now.
All right.
So this is season 3, episode 12, the end. This is
The
our
end.
last episode of season 3. I cannot believe we've been doing this for 3 years now.
I know, it's kind of crazy. 36 months, more or less on time.
We were just children when this started. Look at us now. Bitter, jaded.
Let's put it this way. My kid wasn't even born, I think, 3 years. 2011.
You think?
Fucking, I can't remember. When did we start this shit?
2012 was our first year.
Okay,
We started
well then,
in like March of 2012.
no. But this podcast has been around almost as long as my child, so that's pretty good. All right, so the list. Shall we start at the least?
Well, here I'm gonna go down the list chronologically of all
Okay.
the books we read. We started out the year with Awoken. That was the Cthulhu young adult romance book.
Yep.
It was Antigua, the land of fairies and other bullshit.
Fairies, wizards, and heroes.
Fairies, Wizards, and Heroes. Oh my god! And the fucking none of the other books we read that this year had exclamation points because Antigua used them all up. Then we moved on to let's see, Awoken. Kendra read that with us. Antigua was read by
Dana.
Dana read that with us. Ice Station was Nate.
Yep.
That was great.
Yep.
Right, and that was a fun month because he finally got to realize how awful this shit is.
Yep.
Then we moved on to Bumped with our pseudo-Australian listener, whose name I just completely forgot because I've been drinking already. We read The Haunted Starship the next month with Aaron.
Oh, it was
Vampire-
Emma. Emma's
Emma.
name. Emma was was episode 4.
I knew it was an E name.
Mm-hmm.
We read Bumped with Emma, Haunted Starship with Aaron, and that was where we fell out of our guests.
Nope.
We ran out of people.
Vampire
Who read
Hotel,
Vampire Hotel with us?
Ravina.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. She was nice. I feel
But she
bad that
wasn't.
we did that to her. We read Vampire Hotel with Ravina. Then we went on to The Overton Window. And then it was our con book, In the Breath of the Moment.
It was? Because yeah, I guess it was. Because that's where it got out of sync.
Yeah, that's where our schedule got all fucked up. And then we moved on to Mina and Bear.
Yes,
That was how we ended the year. With Bear.
fucking. Bear fucking. That's how.
So that was our chronological order. Awoken Antigua, Ice Station, Bumped, Haunted Starship, Vampire Hotel, Overton Window, In the Breath of a Moment, Mina, and Bear. That is not my order for them.
No, it isn't for me either. Though I will say, I'm going to guess that the shittiest book for you and I is probably going to be. We're going to agree on that one. So at 10.
I don't know.
10.
We'll see.
10.
10. So our least hated book.
So for me, it was Awoken, and
I agree.
the reason why is because it was bullshit. It was intentionally written poorly. So you couldn't say you could say yeah, it's bad, but I mean, it was written to be bad. It was written to mirror all of the tropes in Twilight, and then some, and then exaggerated by taking one of the most ridiculous scenarios possible, i.e., Cthulhu in human form, falling in love with a human girl, and not going through with the end of the world. So because of his love for her. So
Awoken is like we hired somebody to paint a house. And we said, we want you to paint this house blue. And they went out and bought some red paint and painted the house. And we showed up and went, well, this is shitty, it's red. And they went, ha-ha, fuckers, that was my plan all along.
Yeah, it's just...
That's what Awoken was like.
Yeah.
But it did those things. It hit those tropes so incredibly well.
Yeah, I think that if somebody didn't know the history of it, right? Because we didn't really know the history about it until halfway through
right
reading
before we recorded.
Yeah.
Well,
So I mean,
early on, yeah.
So it would have gotten us. It seriously would have gotten us. It would have hit all the right buttons, but in the end, it was a shit book on purpose. So it was
enough that you're like, I think this is bullshit.
Yeah.
There was doubt in my mind before we discovered the actual purpose, the nefarious deeds behind the writing of that book. But I was reading it thinking, I was like, I think this is fake.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't sure if that was because I was jaded through my 3 years of reading shitty books, or if my bullshit detector really was that well honed. But still, that was my least hated book of the year because it was entertaining in its intentional badness.
Yep. Number 9 for me. No, why don't you do number 9?
Number 9 for me, The Haunted Starship. Because
really?
Geordie.
Okay.
I love me some LeVar Burton.
You love me? Okay. So mine was Ice Station, but my number 8 was Starfleet. Was The Haunted Starship. And for me, so why don't you say why it was for you for number 9?
Because it was short. Really, that's what it comes down to. It was short. It was a book written for children, so it was bad in a way that was obvious as to why it was bad.
I think it was even bad despite that. I mean, just the fact that it like the whole like even when you're right, kids, people will still be shit to you. It's like that was the whole takeaway was no matter how bright, no matter how smart you are, just because you're young, people are going to be shitty to you and not even really say thank you when they figure out that you're right. That's the whole thing. That was the takeaway that I got from it. It wasn't like there wasn't even like any aw shucks moment. Jordy, you were right. It was like, yeah, I don't know.
And I think that's a good lesson for kids to learn. Hey, everyone who is your superior will be a dick to you even when you're right. Better learn that now.
See, for me, Ice Station took number 9 because arguably it was well written. There were no weird grammar issues. There were no, it was. I think that if we hadn't read it for this podcast, it might have been more entertaining. For me, it just like the only thing super bad with it for me was that it strained like all sense of belief, right? Like when you read books that are based in the modern world but are clearly like over the top kind of action filmy sort of things like this. There's a level of suspension of disbelief that you have to engage in. But this book strained even that for me, like between having radioactive mutated elephant seals to killer whales behaving in ways that killer whales don't fucking behave. To the like the people who manage to like survive grievous bodily harm and still like fucking Mother, she gets her leg bitten off by a goddamn
Right.
killer whale,
Killer whale.
and is then what is it? She fucking swims a mile underwater or some bullshit like that.
Right.
It's just, or the
Well, I gotta say, in that situation, the cold water would slow down the circulation.
But she had
still,
if I remember correctly, she had no fucking wetsuit. She's
her
in
legs
goddamn.
were bitten off.
She's kicking with 1.5 legs, and plus in freezing Arctic cold water, and she doesn't go into shock. Give me a fucking break. So anyway, I was just that. I mean, like if you approached it from like, okay, this is a Kurt Russell movie from the 80s, then sure, that it could have been enjoyable, but it was just over the top too much. But that was the worst you could say, was that it was in some ways too over the top, and that's why it's number 9 for me. And then for many of the same reasons that we just discussed regarding Haunted Starship, that's why it's 8. What was 8 for you?
Ice Station.
There we go.
Ice Station is number 8 for me because it was the literally. Fuck, I can't talk. Maybe drinking and doing this show is a bad idea.
Are you kidding me? That's the whole basis of this show.
It is the literary equivalent. See, that's why I was trying to put those two words out at the same time. That's why I said literarily. The literary equivalent of a popcorn movie.
Yes.
I went into that not expecting much because I don't have high hopes for any of the books we read. And I was surprised with how much it didn't suck.
Mm-hmm.
It was entertaining, but it wasn't going to win any awards. It wasn't going to make me change my outlook on life or anything, but it was entertaining. So that was number 8.
It did have really shitty deviant art drawings of mag grips or whatever the fuck.
That's
they were
right,
called.
the mag hooks.
Mag hooks. So, what was your number 7?
Number 7, the Overton Window.
Really? Okay. So why?
Because it was a slightly entertaining thriller. The characters were slightly not believable in how quickly they changed their allegiances, but it was still somewhat entertaining to me and not poorly written. But I think a lot of that, the fact that it's not poorly written, has to do with the fact that it's Glenn Beck, and he has a pretty powerful publishing house behind him on that book. So he had people to read it and go, no, you fucked up your spelling here, you fucked this up, this doesn't make sense. He probably had a lot of support in the writing of that book.
See, for me in 7, we get into this gray area in the year where I had a hard time kind of putting things in order at this point, because they were, like, just to be clear, between 4 and 7, or I guess in the order we're going in, 7 and 4, all of the books were just kind of mediocrely bad. Like, they didn't really stand out as, wow, that's a shit book. You know, they all had things going for them, and they all had things that were just not written well. So yeah, I can kind of see Overton Window being there. There's my lovely wife in the background taking away the squeaky dog. Thank you, love. So for me, number 7 was Mina by Mary Curley, because in some ways, you know, it wasn't written poorly. Like, there were no weird grammatical issues or anything like that. It was just dull as shit, right? Like, I don't think I've ever read a vampire story that was that boring before, and I hope to God I never read another one again that boring. But I mean, that's the worst thing that could be said about it, was that it was dull. It was boring. And for me, that's why it's number 7. Where was Overton Window for me was 4. Where was Mina for you?
4. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, Mina for me was 4.
Oh, it's funny. That is funny. So
but I'll talk more about that when we get down to 4.
Yeah, we'll talk about why the other ones were. All right, so 6 for me was Bear.
For me, it was Bumped.
Here we go again. We're gonna switch off. So Bear. The reason I put Bear at 6 was, again, it was a well-written book from a technical standpoint, right? Like, it was, all the grammar was there, and in this case, in some ways, it had some kind of good, writing behind it, but it felt like either I didn't get the book, like what it was trying to convey.
I definitely don't think we got that book.
Yeah, no.
We were not that book's target audience.
No, and I don't know who the target audience was. It was a book about a kind of a shitty person.
Lonely Canadian women.
Trying to fuck lonely Canadian women want to fuck bears? Like, that's how lonely it is up in America's
really lonely Canadian women.
That's some shit. That is some wow. All right. God. I'm gonna have to ask Glenn about that. Be like, dude, what is up with your country? That people get so lonely. They want to fuck domesticated bears. And it's just, it was kind of like the Cuckoo's Calling, or not Cuckoo's Calling, the other one, the everyone's an asshole and nobody's happy. She was Casual Vacancy. Thank you. She was just kind of a shitty person who, to be honest, as the book went on, it was revealed more and more that she was more and more shitty, and that really her life was kind of the way it was because she was kind of shit, and she was using people to try and fill a void in herself, both literally and figuratively, and to the point where she got so low that she tried to do that with a fucking animal. And so, yeah, I don't think I got it. So, but yeah, that's number 6 for me is Bear. So why was Bumped number 6 for you?
We're right smack in the middle of our list. So these are the books that just didn't make me feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Bumped was kind of that book. Like, it was an attempt at satire that missed the mark. And it just it was hard to get through just because it was just completely uninteresting. I felt almost nothing while reading Bumped.
Yeah, it was Bumped felt like she was trying for this deep message and didn't quite ever get there, right? Like, she's trying to have this statement about young women and how society sets them up for particular things, in this case, pregnancy. And she built a world that went almost too far in that direction in a way that was unbelievable, that did not make it so that what she, I think, was trying to convey got to that point for me, right? She doesn't talk about the fact that it's basically rape. The whole society is turned down to rape, or that you know homosexuals don't exist in her world and things of that nature. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I don't believe this. This book is not believable in a way that I can get behind.
It's a victim of Poe's law.
Poe's law.
Poe's law is the idea that without a clear indication of the author's intent, it is difficult or impossible to tell the difference between an expression of sincere extremism and a parody of extremism. So it really wasn't clear what her attempted message was in that book. So it was like, does she really think that kids should be getting pregnant at 16 and we should celebrate them for that, or is she really saying kids are having sex too soon?
Or is she talking about is she making just a general statement about the expectations of young women in society in general, and just happens to be taking the pregnancy aspect of it in as the analogy? But yeah, I think that you're right. I do think it falls afoul of Poe's law. Now, be honest, was number 5 for you, Bear?
Yes, it was.
There we go.
That's was 5 for you, Bumped?
Yep. That's funny. All right, so we've kind of talked about that, so let's skip down to 4 then.
Bear, same reason. It was a boring book. It didn't make me feel anything.
Yeah.
Except, dear God, what's wrong with Canadians? But, anybody who knows me from way back when knows I've always felt, what the fuck is wrong with Canadians?
This is true.
All right, so 4 for me was Mina.
Mm-hmm.
4 for me was Mina.
Yeah.
And I put that below Bumped and Bear because it was another one of those books that made me feel nothing, but it was so fucking arduous to get through that book. So at my last job, the managers took us all out to this, I think it was called Jillian's. It's like a bowling alley, bar, arcade thing in Universal City Walk, and it's pretty cool. But my coworkers got it in their head that if they got enough tickets to buy the giant gummy bear, they would give it to me and I would take on the challenge of eating it all at once. And it was a gummy bear the size of my fist.
That's right? A big gummy bear.
It's a big gummy bear. It didn't have a whole lot of flavor, and it was really challenging to, I got tired chewing on this thing. Just think about a regular gummy bear, right?
Yeah.
One gummy bear. You can bite through that. You can't bite through this thing. It's too much. That's Mina. It was really hard to get through, and it wasn't that exciting to do it in the first place because it didn't have a whole lot of flavor.
Okay,
so I just ended up tired.
I have to applaud you. That was a goddamn good analogy. No, I can't really disagree with you on that. I can definitely see why you put it as 4. The Overton window, for me, was Overton window, and the reason why was that it was for me, being into politics, and especially disliking Glenn Beck. It was Glenn Beck. It was Glenn Beck's rantings. This was a boring, shitty book. If you knew anything about Glenn Beck and Glenn Beck's politics, you knew what was going to fucking happen. There was no suspense. There was no surprise. There was nothing to this book that jumped out and was like, wow, I did not expect that to see. Because it follows his ideology and his politics pretty much to the T. That the Fed is bad and it's in the pocket of these corporations, and that basically they're shitty for the people, and the people have it is this weird extremist libertarian just pipe dream / wet dream, and it was boring to me. Like the best thing I could say about it was that Glenn Beck, if it was in fact Glenn Beck who wrote this, did a very good job of giving every character their own voice. And that's difficult to do when you're writing a book with multiple characters. It's very difficult to make every character have their thoughts and the way that they speak be different from each other, and he did that very well. So
well, you just make sure that they all have a catchphphrase they say at the end of every sentence, and that's how you give each character their own voice.
Do not do not bring up that book. We're already going to be talking about that book enough to get to the end of this list. Do not bring up that book. But anyway,
that book that was from last year. We're not going to talk about that book anymore.
Yeah, we are. It's coming up. But anyway, that's the reason why the Overton window was 4 for me. It was because it wasn't exciting. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't anything. It was just what I fucking expected to come out of Glenn Beck's mouth writing a book. The libertarians are the good guys. Anybody else is the bad guys or the pawn of the bad guys. It was just, yeah. So what about 3? Where were you with 3?
Hang on. Before we move on from Overton window, why did the libertarian chicken cross the road?
That's none of your fucking business. Am I being detained? I know that one.
I tell that to Stu all the time. He hates it.
Is
Number
he a libertarian?
3.
Is Stu a libertarian?
A bit.
Does he like Ayn Rand?
No, he just hates organization, I think. He hates anyone telling him what to do. Number 3.
Number 3. What was your number 3?
I think this is where we're going to start to disagree. Number 3 for me, Vampire Hotel.
We do disagree. So why number 3?
Mostly because the 2 that come after it, I hated so much more. Vampire Hotel was inarguably shitty.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an awful, awful book.
Okay.
But it had a dog in it, so that made it better than the other 2 for me. Like, I was really, like, you gotta say, okay, which of these turds smells worse? Right? They all smell pretty bad. So you gotta find something that you like about one of them that
this one's got corn
ever
in it.
So slightly above.
I like corn.
Exactly. Hey, that's corn in there. I enjoy corn. Somebody else clearly enjoyed some corn. That puts it just the slightest hair above the others.
Oh my god.
It had a dog, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
It was a weird, fucked up, disjointed book, but dog, I guess, why it's above the other 2.
See,
what was your 3?
In the Breath of the Moment. And that was our Concast book. And the reason why is that it was shit. We knew it was shit. We knew it was shit going into it because we got it off a list of books that were shit. Like that's just. I mean, true. We set it up. It was like, yeah, worst rated books on the Amazon market. Number 5 or number 4 in the Breath of a Moment. So I mean, That's the reason why. And the reason why it was 3 for me was because I enjoyed reading it for the fact that we were going to tear it apart at the con. I mean, now, granted, this was a shitty book. This was just, there was nothing entertaining about it, in my opinion, other than the fact that we tore it apart in front of an audience. You know, you know, the one that stands out to me, is the one that of all of the short stories, and I put air quotes around that because these weren't short stories. These were stupid 1,000 to 2,000 word little vignettes.
They were fucking writing exercises.
Yeah, I mean, this guy put them all together and slapped them on the Amazon Marketplace, and he deserves the shit ranking that he got because these are crap.
You know what he doesn't deserve? The
Huh.
money we gave him for copies of his
Well,
book.
he can get whatever 25 cents or whatever he gets after fucking Amazon pays and takes their cut. But I mean, like the one that stands out to me is it was early in the book. It's this story about a dad who's having this dream about how basically he got his kid killed because he fell asleep at the wheel and caused his car to have an accident, and the seat belt, the car seat basically ended up being thrown through the car window with the kid in it, and the kid died. And he wakes up from the nightmare and staggers down the hall to his kid's room and like grabs a teddy bear and like falls asleep in the middle of the room and gets like some sense of peace. And you know what? I'm a new father. I'm a, you know, well, my kid's going to turn 4 in 2015. I've installed plenty of fucking car seats. Though that if that car seat ended up outside of the fucking car, you're an asshole for even driving that badly and getting into that bad of a car accident, or you're that much of an asshole for incorrectly installing a car seat like that and getting your kid killed. There's no fucking sympathy, and his stories are like that, where he's trying to engender a feeling in you for the characters in it, and you're like, no, you're a goddamn asshole. I'm not gonna feel sympathy for you. Like the very first one, right? Where the old guy is going to the bar where he proposed to his wife, and like he dies drinking shitty wine, and like, you know what? I would be deeply upset if my wife died. But I would hope to God that I would not waste the rest of my life staggering back to the bar where I met her and where I proposed and drinking shit wine and throwing away the rest of my years and all the good that I could be doing with it because I was wallowing in self-pity and this is just it's bullshit. He misses the mark on all of these. All of his stories just are horrible, horrible stories. But I had fun tearing them apart. And I had fun doing it, and that's the sole reason why it was number 3 for me.
Now, I thought about that, about ranking them based on how much I enjoyed talking about them, and I decided that would be unfair to the books themselves.
Okay.
Because the enjoyment I got bitching about them should be unrelated to how I felt while reading them. That said, what was your number 2 book?
Number 2 was Vampire Hotel.
Okay, my number 2 was In the Breath of a Moment.
Yeah. So why was In the Breath of the Moment number 2 for you?
It didn't have a dog.
Really?
No.
I'm sure one of those shitty stories had a dog in it.
Because I think for me it was worse than Vampire Hotel because while the stories were short, like it felt like they were never going to end. Like I'd finish one and be like, shit, there's another one. And then I'd get through that one and be like, God damn it, there's more? How long is this book?
Okay.
Whereas with Vampire Hotel, when they're finally killing that head vampire, I'm like, yeah, it's almost over. I can feel it. I didn't have that during reading In the Breath of a Moment. It was just like, dear God. And then I was just like jumping all around reading it. I didn't read it front to back like I should have, but that's
That's the
why.
problem. See, for me, the reason why Vampire Hotel takes number 2 is because the story was just shit. Like, it was just shit. Like, the whole premise of, like, the vampires taking over the town, kind of like a zombie invasion almost, made no fucking sense. Like, oh, well, everybody's suddenly missing from school, and there's a rash of people suddenly missing around the town, but nobody's going to communicate that to the police. Nobody's going to actually talk about the fact that, oh my god, all of the animals in the fucking town are dying all at once. You know, it's a small, close-knit farming community, and no one fucking talks to each other. Really? You know, it was shit like that. It was the fact that, like, the thing that offended me about Vampire Hotel was the little details that, like that I just mentioned, the fact that all of this shit is happening in this close-knit, small little community where everybody who goes drinking together at the one bar in town on Friday night doesn't say, oh yeah, my kid's dog just fucking got mauled and had its neck broken, and someone goes, oh hey, my kid's dog got its neck broken too. No, like, nobody has those conversations because the author didn't think that people would have those conversations. It's little details like that, or the fact that, like, you know, he says at one point in the book, you know, he swings around a goddamn katana like it's a musketeer sword. No, they
He's a
fucking
musketeer.
didn't swing the sword like that. It's shitty details that this author just was like plodding along, thinking this is he is shitting out diamonds, and it's just. I'm sorry. You have to put in research. You have to actually look up this stuff and think about what you're writing. It's like going up at terminal velocity from fucking 50 Shades of Grey.
God,
No, you don't go
I still
up at
think about
terminal
that.
velocity. That's fucking impossible. So it's that's the reason why, is that it offended me in a way as an author. Like, the other book, it like, I knew it was going to be bad. I knew it was going to be bad. This book, like, had I don't know. It's in some ways they're very very similar, and they both the authors were like, yeah, this shit's awesome. This is going to be the best book fucking ever. I'm going to put it up on Amazon Marketplace, and I'm going to make fucking dollar bills. And you're like, no, you've pooped out stuff in paper, and I'm stupid enough to buy this shit. And yeah, I don't know. It's very close.
So that leads us to our number one book for both of us.
Which, like number 10, we're not going to disagree on.
Antigua. Lands of fairies, elves, wizards,
That's some bullshit.
heroes, bullshit, fucking centaurs.
So I don't know if you do this, but when I come up with these lists, I go back and I listen to all of the podcasts. And this book made me say the unthinkable, which was that this book actually did something worse than Org's Odyssey. It did something worse than Org's Odyssey. Org's Odyssey, for everything that was terrible about it, everything, the grammar, the character descriptions, those bullshit catchphrases that every fucking character has to say every goddamn time they open their mouth. At least Org's Odyssey told a story in a linear fucking format. It went from point A to B to C to D all the way down to Z, where Z shat itself and fell over dead. It went a logical progression through the plot, and this story fucking jumped around like a kid with ADHD, a head condition in a goddamn candy store, right? It was so terrible. It was so terrible.
Antigua was so bad. I missed Twilight. Like, reading Antigua made me go, why can't we be reading a book like Twilight that is I mean, it was bad, but
The
it didn't.
miracle.
It didn't make me. Very few books have made me question the longevity of this podcast.
Right? Right?
Org's Odyssey and Antigua are the two that have done that. Have made me go, why do we continue doing this?
See, the only reason why I don't say that Antigua is the worst is because Antigua you managed to get through in a month.
That is true. That is
Org's
true.
Odyssey, despite having one thing up on Antigua, still made you take like 4 or 5 months to fucking read.
Yeah, it took forever.
Yeah. I mean, so it just, oh my god, that book was so bad. And the fact that it was volume 1, that the authors actually had some kind of grand scheme to have it be like some like Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings type series. Just, oh my god. And you know, I don't know, do you ever go back and listen to the podcast?
No.
After they're done? No.
I listen to them when we record them, and by that I mean as they come out of our mouths. I don't go back and re-listen to them. I do like spot checks in them when I post them to make sure the audio is okay anywhere that I remember it being bad. But I tend to not go back and listen to it because I hate the sound of my voice recorded.
Okay, well, I go back and I listen to them, and there are times when I'll be like, oh yeah, and we didn't even mention this shitty thing. And I was listening to this on the way home from like grocery shopping before Christmas. And I was like, wow, we missed so much. Like, for all of the bullshit that's encompassed in the podcast, the original podcast, there is so much more that we left out where I was like, wow, and I didn't even bring up this thing or this other fucking thing.
Yeah.
That book was just like, I hope to God that very soon, like, because for shits and giggles, I looked up Org's Odyssey on Amazon, and you can't find it. It no longer appears on Amazon. So
thank God.
Yeah, hopefully we killed that fucking thing. We cut its head off. We burned it. We had separated the ashes at a fucking crossroads or some sort of thing, like a goddamn vampire. So, listening audience, you're welcome. Hopefully Antigua goes the same way, because dear God, nobody ever needs to fucking read that ever again.
See, I don't think it will, though, because Antigua holds the lofty position of being the worst book on Amazon.
I wonder. Right now, I want to see if there is a way to look up. First rated Kindle Marketplace book.
Oh, I can't even imagine what the worst Kindle Marketplace book is.
Oh yeah, they're all from like 2012. Apparently,
without sorting by rating and then finding a way to get all the way to the end, because you can't just click to the last one. Then you got to figure out. You got to figure that there are a lot of books that nobody bothers to rate.
Yeah. I wish there was.
But if there's a book that nobody bothers to rate, I think that tells us it's not good for our purposes, because we like our books to inspire like some vitriol and hate from other readers before we go and check them out.
Yeah. Yeah, bestsellers. Yeah, there's no way to do the worst.
Like when I found the books that we've used, it was because I googled worst books on Amazon, and somebody had happened to put together a top 10 list, or a bottom 10 list, as it were.
Yeah.
But
I will say that Amazon bestsellers, I'm kind of happy by this. Out of the top 10, fucking 4 of them are Calvin and Hobbes. I'm okay with that.
That makes me feel really good, actually.
Yeah, that does. Calvin Hobbes.
Somebody's reading some good books then.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, I'm kind of amused at the fact that our our worst shitty book and our least shitty book were exactly the same, and then everything else we were like just one off. It just reversed from each other. I thought that was kind of funny, which I think is kind of how we are almost every year, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'd be hard pressed to go back and find the lists from last year or the year before, but I had at one point I had intended to keep a running tally of every single book, and I might go put that together next month for all 3 years that we've done, just the order of the books. But it gets hard because you get to that middle of the pack, and it's hard to rank those. It's really easy to be like, I didn't hate this, or fuck, this was awful. But there's a lot that we've read that have just been wildly mediocre. And
I think that my top 5, thinking back, would have to be Org's Odyssey. That's the worst. Antigua. Casual Vacancy.
Ghost.
Ghost. Oh my god, Ghost. Yeah. And then maybe A Taste for Venom.
Oh god, I'd forgotten all about that book.
I think that those are my worst 5 because Org's Odyssey and Antigua, because we just discussed that. A Casual Vacancy because everyone's an asshole and nobody's happy. It was just an unpleasant book.
It was a book that starts punching you in the balls in the second chapter and doesn't stop until you're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a book of unpleasant characters being unpleasant to each other, and the only character who's not shitty in any way, shape, or form dies horribly because some other character was being shitty and wasn't paying attention to them. Ghost, because Ghost was a horrible, rape-filled book of misogyny and racism. And then pretty much the same reason for A Taste for Venom, except that it involved bestiality with dragons. It was basically a book that was written around the premise that there is a society, and that society rapes people and treats people like shit. And there's this character who is going to basically aspire to be one of the people that treats other people like shit. Not that they want to make any kind of reforms, but because they want to be one of the people who treats other people like shit. I don't know. What about you? Does your bottom 5 or top 5, as it were, differ at all?
That's pretty much it. I don't know about Casual Vacancy on there because it was well written. It was just really depressing and hard to read. But definitely Antigua, Org's Odyssey, Ghost. A Taste of Venom or A Touch of Venom, whatever the hell it was, wasn't that awful. I would put Hedging His Bets pretty low.
Yeah.
And then The Tiger's Curse. Because Tiger's Curse had the same kind of bullshit protagonist that Twilight did, only it was somehow worse.
Well, like, the thing about Tiger's Curse that got me was that whole D&D-esque dungeon. Like,
right?
Like, that shit exists in Indiana Jones movies and D&D, and that's it. That's the only place that those types of
dungeon actually made me think of? What? That dungeon actually made me think of the awful Dungeons & Dragons movie starring Justin Whalen and Marlon Wayans. Jeremy Irons was in it, Thora Birch. So it was awful. But he has to go through the Thieves Guild maze, and it was like, this maze has taken thousands of lives. It was like 3 rooms, and then he got the treasure. And it was like, that's it? That was the big, horrible thing that he had to overcome? That's what it was. It was like 3 things that she had to get through? Big fucking deal.
Sure, but I mean, like, the thing is that type of dungeon could exist in a D&D setting. That's why I'm saying that that type of dungeon only exists in D&D.
Only if your game dungeon master is a bitch.
Sure.
Like, I'm going to make this really easy on my guys and just give them some loot. No.
And then or Indiana Jones, right? I mean, because
Right.
Indiana Jones is always running into the type of booby trap bullshit, like the whole, the penitent man kneels bullshit.
Yeah, when you
And
think about
then,
it, that one had three challenges in it, and the Holy Grail.
right? So, I
You had
mean,
the duck. Oh no, it had
and
four. It
and
had
I
four.
would like to think that ancient Indians with, as in people from the region that is now India, um, actually would have come up with traps that would have fucking killed motherfuckers, right? Like they would have been like, we're going to be efficient about this shit. We worship a horrible death goddess in our country that fucking murders fools, and and one of our primary deities has an alternate form that is the end of all things. We can build a dungeon that'll just kill everybody. That steps foot it, and just anyway, that book was terrible. I don't know. I mean, hedging his bets was kind of the reason why it's not a top 5 for me is because it was just so ridiculous, right? Like, it's a were-hedgehog. It's a sexy book about a were-hedgehog. I mean, you automatically know it's going to be a shit book because he's a were-hedgehog. Like, other people get to be werewolves and were-tigers and fucking were-bears. Nope, homeboy's a were-hedgehog. When the moon is full, he turns into a hedgehog. Roams the countryside, nibbling people's ankles. It's just ridiculous.
So, Fu Beauregard posted on the Facebook page.
Mm.
Another guy has reviewed Hedging His Bets, and he did a video review that was so fucking good.
I need to watch
And the
that.
best part of his review is at the very end, his camera person goes, "Aren't you going to plug your show?" And he just goes, "No." Like he doesn't want his show associated with reviewing this book.
I need to watch that now. I think I'll watch that as soon as we're done recording. Oh God! So 2014. We're done with 2014. Do we want to talk about 2015 at all?
A little bit. We'll talk about what we're going to do in January.
Yeah.
We're doing a couple things in January. We will be finishing up the final details on potentially our next charity drive,
Yes.
which will have one goal and one goal only because it took us so long with the stretch goals that were just average at best. That it will have the one goal of if we hit the goal, we will go. I mean, we'll have like the varying levels of a written thank you, a spoken thank you on the show, things like that. But the I just lost the words from my thinking. Jesus,
That must have been good cider.
it was really good, and I finished the whole 750.
I still have half a glass left. That's pretty good.
Well, it was really tasty, and I didn't finish all of it. My wife took a glass of it and then brought back 3/4 of it and said, maybe I shouldn't be drinking tonight, and made me finish it. Because it's not going back in the bottle.
No, it's certainly not.
The ultimate goal of the next charity drive will be getting, well, I mean, aside from raising money for charity, we'll be getting Matt, Kendra, and I believe Michelle too, right?
No.
Wanting?
Nope.
No. She's out?
Just the three of us. Oh no,
Right,
she was
so-
never included.
Oh, I thought she was.
She doesn't do this shit.
I thought for some reason she put herself on the line for it.
Oh no.
All right, so getting Matt and Kendra to come down to Los Angeles to go see 50 Shades of Grey. And actually, I saw Into the Woods last Friday night at the iPic Theater in Pasadena. And if you've never been to an iPic Theater, it's got big, like, reclining chairs with like a blanket and a pillow. There's a button on the table between chairs that you can press to get the waiter to come and take your drink order, and they serve amazing food and awesome drinks, and it's fantastic.
We need to go there and see this shitty movie at that theater.
As we were leaving. as we were leaving, I thought to myself, fuck, the next movie I see here is going to be, and I said that part out loud, and I was with Bill and Elspeth and Kate, and Bill goes, ha ha, 50 Shades of Grey. He is so excited that we're going to do this. So I think our listeners will not let us down.
So
they will, in that they will fund
what dollar amount? Should we say $750?
What was it? What did we get last time?
$750.
We got. I thought we got like.
Well, we
12.
got more than that. We got $1,200.
I think we should set it for $1,000.
$1,000.
And we are going to be raising it for a women's outreach program. Right? That was our goal, our intention. See, we should figure these things out before I start drinking.
Yes. We should come up with a charity. So
we'll find one.
Yeah, well, that is your goal, your task before the end of this week. So yeah, we will go and we will do this thing. If you guys can raise $1,000, my wife has said that she will get me and Kendra down to LA.
Oh, that's what it was. That's why I thought she was in. She was in to just get you guys here.
Yeah, she just wants to watch us suffer. Or watch me suffer.
So what would end up happening is we would have to go see it, and I'm guessing you guys would get a like a hotel room or something.
Yeah.
And then we'd go and record a podcast in whatever hotel room you guys are in, because I think my place is a little too small and too far away from the theater.
Yeah.
For that, especially if we've been drinking.
Yes.
On the bright side, there are a lot of people down here who would be willing to be our designated driver for this event.
Well, sure, I'd be disappointed in Bill if he wasn't totally down and willing to do that. Be like, Bill, down here. I'm gonna be disappointed in Bill if he does not help get us down here by contributing to.
I'm sure he's going to, because he loves charity and he loves seeing us suffer.
I might even be able to get my brother to do a whole viewing party thing again, like he did last time.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Of course, this time does not involve me dressing up like Bella. So
that's going to be a hard sell for him.
Yeah. Fuck you, Daniel. Oh, God, that was so horrible.
In the month of January, we do have our book picked out.
Yep.
We've picked out a book that, from my experience, talking to people who have read it, has been very polarizing. Some people love it. Some people absolutely hate it. It's apparently popular enough to get a movie made. We are going to be reading Divergent by Veronica Roth. It is the first book of a trilogy. If there's enough outcry from our listening audience to read the other books in the trilogy, we will continue with it and read more. But it's a movie. It came out last year, I think.
Nope.
I guess you can, or yeah. I say last year because people are going to be listening to this on January 2nd.
Okay, that's true.
Came out 2014. Apparently, you can get it on instant video right now. So maybe if it sucks bad enough, we'll do a podcast where we watch it, and like we did with the other ones, except not in costume, because
that was horrible.
Want to put on more makeup or shave my beard again.
Yeah, that was. You didn't have to have fake tits. Shut up.
You're correct.
I had to wear.
I had to shave.
I had to put on makeup. I had to have a fucking wig. I had to have fake tits.
I had to shave and then listen to my wife
I had to ask
how weird my face looked.
I had to explain to my son why I was dressing.
You win.
Yeah. That's going to be as part of the therapy sessions later in his life.
When I was 3.
My dad dressed up in women's clothes, and it wasn't.
No, it's not even going to be my dad dressed up in women's clothes. It's going to be my dad dressed up as Bella Swan. That makes it so much worse. Because whatever, cross-dressing, whatever. That's like one of the most common male fetishes, but
yeah,
to be dressed as Bella Swan.
Yeah, I could just see his therapist being like, "Oh, your dad dressed up in women's clothes. That's okay." He'd be like, "No, you don't understand." Bella Swan, and the therapist is like, "Oh my God, you poor child."
Let me get you some Xanax.
Here's a prescription for various medications, and I will call the police about your father. Um,
All right. So we're just about an hour.
yeah.
Um,
Other things in 2015, we've talked about the idea of instead of doing books every month, possibly working a movie now and again into it, because life gets crazy, and sometimes finishing a shitty book in a month, in this last year especially, has been a little bit, and then reading and then doing a podcast in that same month has been a little bit difficult. So sometimes we're going to probably we might start working in shitty movies.
so if you have some shitty movie recommendations, throw them at us. We'll start looking into them.
And Davio, for fuck's sake, don't suggest Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. We know that's like the Carlton Mellichek of movies. That
Yeah,
was
definitely.
made to be shitty. Like, throw things at us that are supposed to be fantastic films that then turned out to be shit. So no Yui Bowl, no.
Now here's the
Hold
thing about the Uwe
Shotgun.
Boll. Here's the thing about Uwe Boll movies. I think he genuinely thinks he's a good director. Like that. Actually, that's what I thought until I saw Postal.
No, he's just totally abusing Germany's
Yeah.
artistic grant system, right? Like, that's what I've heard, is that he
That
basically
he might actually be a financial genius.
he says, I'm gonna make this movie, so please give us this money, and Germany then gives him X number of dollars, and then he takes that money and makes the shittiest movie possible for as cheap as he can, and then pockets all the rest of that money. That is what I've heard.
Dungeon Siege in the Name of the King. Someone is going to recommend me one.
Dude, I'm gonna point out, Blood Rain. He managed to get Ben motherfucking I got an Oscar award for Gandhi Kingsley in that piece of shit.
Dude, look at the cast for In the Name of the King. In the Name of the King, he had Ray Liotta, John Rhys Davies, Burt Reynolds, and I actually have a theory about In the Name of the King.
And was it Jason
My
Statham?
theory for In the Name of the King, Jason Statham was in it too.
Yeah.
My theory for In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale from 2007. I just pulled it up on IMDb. Was that Ron Perlman, Claire Forlani. It's just some really good names in here. Is that a lot of these people had one more film on contract with the production company, the company that put it out was, and holy shit, there was a sequel.
No, we're not watching a sequel of Yui Bowl anything.
Sorry.
I don't fucking care. I don't care how much people donate to fucking charity. No, I'm not watching a sequel of Yui Bowl anything. I'm just putting that out there
all these
right
people
now.
Had one more movie on contract, or they had like a few movies in contract, and it was like they weren't going to get really good movies. So they called all these people and said, "Look, if you do one more movie, we'll let you out of the rest of your contract." And it was such a good deal to these people that they didn't think too much about it. And Burt Reynolds went, "Well, shit, yeah, sign me up." And they went, "Oh, by the way, it's an Uwe Boll movie, but you already signed the contract, so fuck you."
No, I think it's basically that all of them took a look at their SAG membership and said, "Shit, we need to do one film to keep our membership, to get our benefits for this year." Shit, and then the only thing that was there in that year.
I think he pulled some producers type shit on this. $60 million budget for In the Name of the King. It grossed like $4 million.
And then they just raked it up in the fucking insurance.
And then they just went, well, it tanked. Oh my god, I bet nobody except the actors and the director saw a paycheck from that because of, oh my god, it's so sad. Anyway, We're rambling.
So anyway, that's one of the things we're going to think about doing is that maybe, a couple times next year we'll do movies instead. And we'll definitely take solicitations like we do for books. But yeah, that's 2014. That's a peek into 2015, starting with Divergent. Yeah, 2014. It had some challenges to it because towards the end of the year, thing like crazy for Tyler and I. I know that on my part at work, my team lost a guy, and he was our basically all he did was recruiting for us, which meant that all of the recruiting that he was doing got shared among the team, and suddenly shit got a lot busier, like around August and September. And that's why things got crazy, because I was doing work at home. Like, I know I was pulling 10-hour, 12-hour days. I'd work through 9 hours during the day, and then come home and put in another 2 or 3 during those months. So, and I know that you got crazy busy. So yeah, 2014 got some challenges towards the last half, but here we are. It's December 30th, and we're recording. So yay, on time still.
I'm hoping we can rectify it and get on a better schedule for next year.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we failed so miserably at the end of this year is what put me off of looking into Patreon to help raise some funds for the show. Just because if we can't commit to a release schedule for our shows, I don't feel comfortable saying
give us money for. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's something that we should definitely commit on next year, is that podcast every month. By the end of the month, we will at least record it. And I think we can keep to that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, altogether, I think we had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
We drank a lot of booze.
Oh, yes, we did. Holy shit, did we? Oh, my God.
And had we had a smashing time. It was just a I don't know.
Yeah.
It was good. I'm glad to be done with another year, and I'm really looking forward to another year after this.
Yes, and I do think that says something, that when we can say, I'm looking forward to another 10 shitty experiences, right? Like, I think that this year's convolution was the best. I wish that this year's convolution had been a better shitty book, right? I mean,
right.
For as bad as it was, like, I almost wish that we had reversed the first year's book and this year's book. Because I think that if we had done the Ren Fair book now, we would have fucking knocked it out of the park, right?
Oh, like, yeah, we definitely have found, like, the sweet spot with con podcasting.
Yeah, like and especially with like the fact that the quality was a lot better this year. Like, I think that if those books had been reversed, it would have just been fucking brilliant. And
but if they'd been reversed, I don't know if that first year having the worse material would have landed us the listeners that it did.
That's true. And I'm next year I'm a little nervous about, I'll be honest, because of the book, because it's like last year with Steampunk Erotica. It's one solo book.
Yep.
And that could have problems.
I think we'll be okay.
But it's such a shitty book. Not to say that
we'll definitely have to talk more prior to the podcast about how to keep on track and not get totally rambly.
It's the first time we're going to be in costume. It's the first time we're going to be in costume.
Oh, God. damn it.
Look, think about the payoff. Think about the payoff. What's the payoff? Think about the payoff. Just think about it. Just think about it.
All right. All
All
right.
right, there you go. So anyway, 2015 it has some great things in store. Some shitty books, potentially some shitty movies, maybe some half casts, and a really really bad book. I've been fighting so hard against Dan and this idea, and
I
I
think we just
finally
let him
I
have it this
finally
year and get it over with.
yeah. Much like many people's shitty first time at sex, just lie back, get it over with, move on with your life.
Lie back and think of England. All right.
Um, all right, so this has been all of 2014, and your book is Why Daddy Drinks. Thank you so much for uh, joining us on this very, very fun, shitty ride. And I'm looking forward to 2015.
Me too. All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
listeners, again for sticking with us through some shitty scheduling issues and lackluster release schedule. I'm hoping we'll do better in 2015.
Oh, no, we will do better. All right, this is Matt.
This is Tyler.
And this is Your Book is Why Day Drinks 2014. See you next year. Good night.
Good night.